If you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Special thank you to Landmark Coffee Roasters, a sponsor for this podcast. If you haven't tasted their coffee, you got to go check it out. Some of the best beans in Southern California. LandmarkRoasters.com. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great, man.
Yeah?
Be back.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Dude, I love the time that we got to spend last time. Lots of laughs. A lot of brothers ministered too, built up and encouraged. And it's just fun to get together and just talk about life and talk about everything going on and in our culture. And it's really been a great like connector, right, of all the guys. Like all of a sudden people start reaching out and like we start talking with everybody. And I think we need that like in our society. Like we need that in our lives. Like we're realizing it more than ever at this stage in life. We're married, we got kids, we got jobs. We're all running in different directions and we're trying to find ways to connect. And like, this has been a unique way to connect. What do we do? We're like 20, this is 25? 26 episodes in.
That's
right.
insane.
That's, yeah. Let's go. Stoke House. So dude, this is 6 months, 26 episodes, 6 months, I think to the exact day.
Half a year.
Wow.
So, that's exciting. But yeah, it's been a connector of a lot of people. I've talked to so many people I've been able to talk to in a long time just because of what God's doing. But community and being together is so important. Taking time to reach out to each other, build each other up. This has been a conversation we've been having quite a bit, is like trying to figure out how to find good community, what does good community look like? When you guys reflect on good community, what do you see as like the connector, or what do you see as like a good moment with the brothers? Like what is the center of like good community? Like when you try to think through your family, your wife, your kids, your church, what is good community been for you guys?
I mean, I think it's rooted in our faith, like our mutual faith, but also just the honesty that you can have with the brother, like and you're connected to, you spent time with, they know you. I hate like that term, like a safe space,
right?
Like it really is like an environment where, you can just be you and you don't have to try to check a certain amount of boxes. And
totally.
You're not trying to network. You're not trying to climb a ladder or impress someone. You're just being you. Just
right.
Yeah.
And I think like more so in today's day and age, so many people are lacking community because like nowadays you don't it's hard to find authenticity, right? Like, and I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Social media is one of those things where people find their community in social media instead of actually having an actual group of people that you can confide in. And just for example, man, like Aaron and I was talking about how we raise our kids together.
Right.
I mean, we've given. I mean, with all of us though, right? I mean, I don't get to kick it with you and your family as much as I would like to be,
right.
But that's neither here nor there. But we're so close, and we all met through the church, and now we get to do this community of life with our family and our kids. And I just picked up a part-time job with the school district, and I'm able to substitute at these high schools and these elementaries. And man, like, I had a little kid come up to me. He was like, "Hey, man," I had my Cortezes on. He's like, "Hey, where you from?" And I'm like, "Where I'm from, man? I'm a 36-year-old man. I'm old enough to be your dad." I'm like, how old are you?" "I'm 12. I'm from H3.
Wow.
And I'm like, "What?" But then, I'm like, "Man, you too young, man. You need a whooping." You know what I mean? You 12-year-old, like he got his Dickies on with his Black Forces on. I'm like, bruh. But it had me thinking, like, like we were talking about how we're raising our kids in the ways of the Lord. And, poor kid, right? But I feel safe to know that we're raising our kids up in the Lord, and they've been taught to know what is right. So if they were ever, if they were in a point to where they're around these kids, it would be so unnatural to see that.
Right.
And I think that falls back to what the word of the Lord says, right? He says, train your child up in the ways, to go, right? So, train them up in the Lord, and then they're going to know his ways. They're going to be around these situations and be able to see what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
Establishing that very early is super important.
Yeah.
So
And community supports that because now you have a group of like-minded people with the same goals, same objective, and now we know we're close, and now our kids will be close, and that's their core group of friends.
I love when we can get together and our kids are around and like I know we have a similar worldview. So the things that my kids are going to interact with your kids or they're going to have the same viewpoint. Or if my kid's out of line and he does something wrong, like I know that I can trust my brothers who have the same viewpoint, like this the same worldview, to be able to correct from the same heart, the same direction. And we want to see our kids do well. And it's a consistency that they're seeing throughout our lives. Like when Deon and I were talking on the way down here, like I want my daughters to look for a husband. Like, man, I want my husband to be like my dad and my uncles. Like they've seen it consistently played out in this community group.
Spiritual uncles.
Yeah,
That's right.
and then likewise, my son, I want him to want a wife like my mom, or like his mom and his aunties, like to one that loves and cares for and is compassionate and is looking for the opportunities to love and to raise a family. And so like having that community is setting up great examples for what these children can look for in the future.
You were saying?
No, I think for anybody wondering, it's like, okay, that sounds good, but how does that happen? How do you get that community?
Yeah.
And like Deon was saying, social media,
get off your phones.
all that other
Meet
stuff, it kind of makes you feel like, oh, well, I have community through the internet, but it's different when you're in person.
Right.
And so the best way to get community, in my opinion,
You mean sending memes isn't like enough? The memes are good though.
they're good, man,
Funny.
is finding a church, a local church.
Yes.
Close to your house if you can. It just
right.
makes it that much easier to get to church and then to build community with the people at that church. So we grew. The reason why we're so close is because we had that.
Yes.
We had local church. Man, we were at church like 4 times a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Doing something. It was always fun. It was a blessing. But so for people wondering, it's like, where does it start? To me, it starts at the church. Yeah. That's the center of our lives because that's where we go and worship the Lord together, learn about Him.
What would you say to those who are watching and they don't go to church or they don't believe in God? How can they kickstart that relationship of community? I mean, I know on our end, that's how we started. It's through the word of the Lord, right, and through fellowship at church. But for those who are out there and they don't have that opportunity or that desire to go to church, where do you go from there? And
Right.
I think one thing I see in our relationships is like coming to, like, desiring that is great, but coming with a mentality of not being a consumer, like someone needs to produce a product for me, like this community needs to offer me something, and go into it like selfless, thinking like, how can I serve these people? How can I be a part, and putting aside my preferences? Because like we've talked about before, like how the group of guys that we hang with, like if we went in looking for people that could be just like us and meet our expectations and what we desire and have that consumeristic mentality, we probably wouldn't have hung out with all those people. But going into it and just being like, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yep.
Regardless if this guy's just like me or if we have the same things in common, like how can I serve? How can I be a part of this environment? And how can I contribute rather than just wanting people to satisfy my every desire and bend. So I think as you desire community, you have to put yourself to the side and be selfless. And in doing so, that I think opens up those relationships and those opportunities to connect with people, because you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about them, and who doesn't like to be served and blessed. And then that contributes to that cycle where now, they put their thing aside, I can put my little thing aside. Like they do that weird thing, but I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm still going to bless them. I'm still going to love on them. I'm still going to try to be a part of their lives. And I think approaching it from that perspective can help facilitate community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, man, we've lost the way. Like we're in such a different time and age where we're not forced to go out and make friends anymore. Like remember,
Right.
growing up, parents would be like, man, if you don't get your butt outside and go play, go meet somebody. Like every summer, I felt like I met someone new.
Right.
Just, and the phone took that away.
It's true.
Like it took away the opportunity to go out and create that community, right? Like, because all that was built off of just going out and playing. And that's some of my most solid friendships and brotherhoods nowadays,
Right.
just from the blacktop,
Right,
right?
right.
Or going out riding your bike. And I mean, ask yourself, when's the last time y'all ever saw just seen somebody introduce themselves sitting at the bus stop or just walking up the street? It's like not even heard of anymore. It's like you do that and like, like, gosh, who are you, sir? You know what I mean? It's like,
Start videotaping you.
yeah, it's like, get away from me, get away from me, you creep. And don't do that to no woman. You just a guy saying, hey, nice to meet you. What's your name? And, oh, nah, man.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going to give you my DMs or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so socially awkward now. You
Right.
can't even just walk up to someone and just have a conversation.
That's true. It's true. Are you saying we need to like get our little bikes like together again and like start going off
Yes.
jumps and like doing a little bike gang like around the neighborhood, like
Yeah.
get our little
Basketball court, but Christmas is dead every year.
Right.
You don't see kids outside
Right.
riding their bikes or their rollerblades or their scooters, and like that's what we did.
right.
You know what I mean? So now everybody's just
Yeah.
swiping up and down on Christmas, and it's
Yeah.
like, come on, man, go outside and play.
You go over to Daniel's house though, and like they got this little like cul-de-sac like island thing in the center.
Yeah.
And the kids take out their go-karts and sneaking bikes, and they like it's like a track. It's like a racetrack. Yeah. And they're like flying around. Like, how have you guys built this? Like that. You've kind of taken some risks in like trying to build relationships and friendships within the church, and then like I don't know, like you guys' setup. Like I don't even know if it is a dream setup, but you've made it a dream setup. I don't like, you know what I mean? Like you've watered the grass right in front of you. You know, it's like we're gonna make this happen, and it's like now you got all these families, and like you guys are throwing parties at your house, like little block parties, and like everybody from the neighborhood shows up. Like, what did you guys do?
Man, so I can't take any credit for that, right? So we were living in Norco. Our church and friends were in Riverside. I worked in Orange County, and we would go out to Orange County to have fun and do stuff at the beach, right? And we were finding that like we didn't have like a close community where we were living. We knew like one neighbor on our left, neighbor on our right. That's about it. It was just kind of difficult. There's no sidewalks. There's horse trails there. And it's fine, if you're into all that stuff. But we're into raising kids. I can't raise horses.
You don't raise horses?
No.
No.
You got to go.
But that was, we had a goat.
Did you really?
Creepy little goat.
What was its name?
Stanley.
Stanley.
He was a pygmy goat, something like that.
Did you guys ride it?
No, but he'd always try and headbutt you.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Had all the kids freaked out.
Yeah.
Get the goat away. I don't want to come outside.
Yeah, we had to get rid of him. So he would charge from the very back of the property.
No.
Toward my 2-year-old.
No.
And he would turn away at the last second.
What?
Like, if you would have hit him in the head, it can kill him.
Oh my God.
He was just playing. And we had a swing, like a bench swing. And he would run, jump on the swing, swing himself, and jump off.
No.
It was
Bro,
the
that thing was
coolest pet
possessed,
I ever had.
bro.
Wow.
Ate all the weeds. It was awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, just loud. But so we were living in Norco, community was in Riverside, and I worked in Orange County. We were praying, Marlon and I were like, we just want to live, work, and have community, go to church all in the same place. And we didn't know what that looked like. And it didn't seem possible just because things were so expensive. Mm-hmm. And the Lord opened a door. And it's working with a buddy of mine. He's like, you should try to buy the house next door to me. I'm like, really? We're, out in Orange County. And finally I could afford that, man. And come to find out it was a fixer-upper, which is what we love. Because you can get it at a good price and then just fix it up yourself as you go on. And that's basically how it happened. We got in there and we were able to find a church first before we even bought the house, which was the priority. It's like, before we go somewhere, I want to make sure that we have a solid church that my family is going to be a part of. Because without your church, your community collapses. We don't have a family out there. We didn't have many friends out there. So we needed to have some kind of community built around us, especially for Marla and the kids. Like when I'm at work, long periods of time, whatever, they have people, a support system. And so that's the same thing I always try to tell some of the brothers moving out of state. It's like, please first find a church and then find a house. It's like people want to move away because they want to get a big house. I can get a big house. I can get this and that. And then you're by yourself with no family or friends,
Right.
and you have no church community. It's like, what's the point of all that if you have no one to share it with?
Sure.
And same thing. Our house is tiny, right? I have 4
You have a tiny house?
I have a tiny house, and but we make it work. You know what I mean?
200 square feet?
Basically.
Yeah.
Being humble, guys. He's being humble.
We make it happen. You know what I mean? Like it was worth it to us to have that community.
Yeah.
But that's basically what happened. And when we got there, all the neighbors are super nice. Everybody knows everybody, and that's what I appreciate about it. And was people are open as far as you're open. So if you go out there and you introduce yourself and you're friendly, people hunger for that. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants a community. It's crazy. There's so many people who feel lonely. They're surrounded by a ton of people all the time. They're always on Twitter or Instagram, whatever. And there's a lot of people around them, but they don't really like have that deep, intimate relationship with somebody.
It's true.
They long for it. So if you're willing to do that and just, hey, let's hang out. Let's invite them over for dinner. That's what we'll do when we get to know our neighbors. We invited them over for dinner. We have barbecues. We just hang out on the front street, let the kids play. We talk to each other. And it just happened. It takes time. It's been like a 3-year process.
Wow.
And we're just now getting to build like really, really close relationships with our neighbors and with our church. So it just takes time.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
You said something though, like you just taking that step of faith, like as far as you reveal and reveal yourself or expose yourself in conversation, relationship, they'll do the same.
Yeah.
This is so important. It's crucial, I think, to building, community. There's a podcast I was listening to. I think I sent it to the brothers. I think you guys listened to it a little bit, but this,
right. That was good.
Yeah, this one with, let me see if I can pull it up. I'd love to pull it up and we can listen to a snip of it.
Jamie?
Jamie, can you pause? Let's see if it'll come up here on the screen.
Interesting. It's almost if you're saying there's sometimes that you are a priority in healing as a leader, and there are other times where the people that you're leading are the sole priority.
Yes.
And if you're not a priority occasionally, then you can't make them a priority often because you'll fall apart, right?
Yeah.
A quote that I liked in your book, you said, it was interesting. I kind of want to ask you about it. You said the more resources a person gets, the more walls that he or she puts up, and the more lonely they become. There's a lot in that. Can you unpack it for me?
Well, that thought actually came from a friend of ours who's a pastor in Rwanda, and he currently lives in the States for a season. And he and I were talking, and he said, Jenny, I feel sorry for you all. I feel sorry for you all because you can afford fences and alarms, and you can afford to buy anything you need, and you don't need each other. And gosh, that stuck with me. That was years ago. And I saw it. And my son's from Rwanda.
Isn't that crazy? You don't need each other.
We've spent a lot of time in Rwanda and other countries in similar states. And I'm jealous of them every time I go, because you go to a little village and outside of all the huts is a fire and a well. And all of the women are washing their clothes together. All of the women are cooking together. All of the children are playing together. And that's how it's been for every generation until the Industrial Revolution. And even it is today in 80% of the world. So we are not more blessed. We are more isolated. And the greatest need a human has in their brain, just physically, forget Christianity, forget emotions or all of that, just physically speaking, your body needs connection.
You're saying anatomically.
In fact, it's the most likely reason that people are unhealthy is that they're in isolation. And we're looking at a generation coming up with anxiety, and they have what they need. Why they're not at war? Why are they so anxious? They're not in the Great Depression. Why are they so anxious? These are kids that have everything they need. And yet they're having panic attacks when they come home from school. Why? And I would say it's because of technology, we are living so disconnected from each other.
So, as a leader,
Facts.
do we need connection as much?
So you give some
as other
practical
people?
instruction.
More.
Okay. Do we typically
we need
get as
more
much
connection.
or
Less.
Okay,
Yes.
so you would say we need more, and you would say we get less. What's the answer?
Well, I would say twofold. Number one, you need people that you don't lead in your life. So if you're a pastor, then you need friends that do not go to your church. You need to go learn a sport or jiu-jitsu. Is that how you say it?
Doulos. Come to Doulos.
Golf, you need to
Zitsu.
find something and you need to cultivate some relationships outside of that. Secondly, you need other leaders. I started a cohort. I didn't start it. One of my friends started it, but I've been a part of it for the last 2 years. It's 7 women and a spiritual director that leads us. And it has changed my life to have other people that can say anything. It is a safe circle. What we say to each other does not go anywhere, but they understand and they're in it as well.
I can imagine there's some leaders thinking like, who can I trust?
Oh, yeah.
We feel a lot of weight.
Fair.
This reminded me of what you were saying,
Steps
Daniel.
Would you suggest that they take
Practical
to create
steps.
some of those trusted, intimate relationships?
Yes. So this is awkward, right? I mean, we all, and it is for everyone. I think leaders need to hear it's not just you. I think it is awkward for everyone to make friends. And so what I encourage people to do is to look at the spheres of their life, whether it might be through your kids' sports, it might be someone that that you get to know from a club, or, my dad used to bowl and was in a bowling league. There's a whole death of hobbies that has caused a lot of this disconnection as well. So whatever it is, just to find one person that you could go to coffee with, and go to coffee and just share something. It doesn't need to be, the biggest sin of your life. Just share something vulnerable and see how it goes. And if it goes well, then hang out again and share a little more. But it really is kind of like dating, where you just have to try. And if you get a bad reaction and they're like, gosh, and they feel judgy, walk away. Don't stay there. That's probably not your person, but try it out. And it does take work and effort, but I promise you, and it may take rejection, and it may take 5 people just not working out. And I think everybody needs to hear that. That's normal. That's not crazy. It's not just you. You're not especially broken, I don't think. Now, some people need to pay for a friend. Like, that's what therapy's for, right? You pay for a friend to tell you the truth. If you keep getting those, and maybe you do, but largely, it just takes a minute. And so that effort, though, if I told you at the end of 5 years, you would be incredibly close to 2 or 3 people, and they would be in your life for the next 10 to 15 to 30 years, would you do it? You would. But we doubt that it's possible. But it is.
Isn't that good?
That's deep.
It's like, again, that's Craig Rochelle, a leadership podcast. And, we don't align with everything, all the methods of Pastor Craig and what he's up to, but we praise Jesus for what he is accomplishing in Christ's name. And it's a great leadership podcast, great perspective. You can chew the meat, spit out the bones, but gosh, so much good stuff in there. Mm-hmm. And when Daniel was talking, it was reminding me that, he just took steps to greet the neighbor. Mm-hmm. And start real conversation. And there's literal vulnerabilities like going on. So it's like, what do? And you can immediately just like, oh, I'm pretty busy, I got a lot going on, and I'm, and it's great talking with you today. We'll see you later, or you can be like, well, I'm a firefighter. Oh, which house do you work at? Oh, I work at this one over here. And like, you're slowly revealing yourself. And as you reveal yourself, then they start to reveal themselves. Yeah. And then it's like, I got this broken sprinkler over here, it's been bothering me. I've been able to fix it. And he's like, actually, I got all the stuff right now. You want to do it? And it's like, yeah. He comes over and helps you fix the sprinkler. And then before you know it, you start helping each other. You need each other, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how those relationships start to develop. And I don't know, it's convicting for me because it's like, Los Angeles is a big place and a lot of people, and it's difficult to, know who to trust and how much to trust them. But just like was being pointed out, we all need community. Like, we got to figure this out. Like, it is the one thing we need above all things on the planet. And like, if you don't, you isolate, it's not good for you. It's really, can hurt your health, very heavily. But us taking steps of faith to try to figure out how to build that community in our local neighborhood or right there in our neighborhood, wherever we're at, I think is crucial.
Facts. My wife always tell me that one thing she knows for sure, that God has put me on this earth to make friends. I mean, anybody who knows me that I just walk up to talk to anybody, man. And that's just, I don't know. I don't know why. I just think that's how God created me. And
You make friends everywhere you go.
like everywhere I go. And
What do you think is the secret sauce as to how you're able to do that?
I think it's just stepping outside of your comfort zone, man. Like honestly, like believe it or not, like I'm super extroverted, of course, if you can't tell, but it's a blessing, and sometimes it can be a curse because the curse end of it is you are gonna unfortunately rub shoulders with people who are gonna possibly do you wrong in the future. But I'd rather have that odd, and creating a friendship or building a relationship with someone and the turn out to be very well and take my chances with, coming across that person who might just do you wrong. I'd rather have those odds in my favor because, eventually what I always do is somehow relate to someone with the gospel. You know what I mean? And I just bridge it back to the gospel because, everyone's going through something, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I think it's just stepping outside your comfort zone. It's never easy to just walk up to somebody and introduce yourself nowadays, right? Back then it used to be. But
Are you still working for the city?
working for the city, man, and believe it or not, that's how I've gotten most of my job is just through talking to people and networking.
Yeah.
I literally got my job with the city of Riverside for going on a worship night, meeting my boy Brian.
No way.
Met that night, and we just started talking about barbecue because that's one of my passions.
Yes.
Right?
If you had a Deon barbecue, man, I'm like, yes, dude.
Man,
Mr. Dion's barbecue.
Tinder. But but that's how I got this job, man. I met him that night and I was like, hey man, y'all hiring? Where you work for? He's like, I work for the city. Yeah, come on. And I mean, sometimes like, that's a part of what network. I believe that's the way the Lord created it to be, right? Like the community of just networking. And it's not me trying to get over on someone. I got a really good friendship with him now. And, we hang out with him. So yeah, I think that's just my opinion is just setting that uncomfortable part, that uncomfortable situation aside of what you're feeling and just approaching the person, man, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah. I think one of the things, Deon, is like you are very comfortable in your skin. And I think a lot of people are like conscious of their skin. And so they like, oh, I don't know if they're going to like me. And I see you walk up to like the most random people. I don't know how you can be like best friends with the billionaire business guy. And then also like the guy standing in front of the liquor store, and you can have a conversation with both of them easily. Yeah. But because they're getting the same Deon in both ways. And I think as people just need to know, like, it's okay just to be you. Like, just be you. Like, you don't have to be Elon Musk or the next, have all these things going for you. Just be yourself. Just be comfortable in your own skin. Because that person that you're approaching is just them. Like, they're just a person just like you. And I think, we talked about social media. I'm like probably the biggest anti-social media person, but like I think it's easy to build up a persona about someone.
Come on, man. Preach.
Just like you look at someone's social media profile, you see their highlights, and it's like, oh well, I don't know if I can talk to that bird. Like they're on a whole nother level, and it's like, really, they're just a person. Like they have a bunch of filters, and they're just a regular person, just like you and me. They have the same desires. They want community. They want real relationships. And I think like social media just it's corrupt. It's like it's just weird to me. Yeah. I don't know if we take a step back and just look at it. It's like it's really weird to post your personal like relationships. Like I see people post like, oh babe, I can't wait to see you at home tonight. It's like, you have to post it on the internet for like, can't you just like text your wife? Like
50-year-old man dance. Let me do that again. I'm like, come on, bro, you 50 years old. Take it. Come on, man, TikToking.
Slip slapping and all that.
TikTok, man.
No,
Weirdest thing.
Like the guy, some of the CEOs of social media, like who put this stuff, who built this stuff, really saying they see it destroying the social fabric of our society. Like it's tearing us apart. Ugh. It's really weird because it is a double-edged sword. It's both allowed us to connect with that, I don't know, high school friend who moved to Japan or whatever, and it's just like, But then on the other end, it's like, yeah, it's transported us into another world. Like our minds are in another world when we're on there. And we are, TikTok and slip slopping.
TikTok and the slip slopping.
I think you pointed out something interesting on Sunday. It's just like how in a natural setting, like a regular community environment, you would only experience, a small amount of people and understand their relationships. But with social media, you can tap into literally thousands of people in their lives. And like, I don't know that we can like absorb all that. Like it's I don't know.
It creates discontentment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think that has completely destroyed the dating scene and just the ideal man and woman today?
I think so. I mean, it definitely feels that way. Like you go from like your stock and your pile, your options, are just like the kind of in your high school or in your little college group or in your church, like you got like 10 options, you got 10 girls you got your eye on, it's just like, okay, which one works for me? Now, I mean, you go on TikTok slip slop, you got
That's the new slogan for TikTok now. TikTok slip slop.
Slip slopping around.
TikTok and you slick slopping around.
But you got 1,000 options, you got 10,000 options, you got 100,000 options. I mean, this is crazy, dude. It's inexhaustible, and like, I think it has crippled the dating scene. I think it has crippled the man in his own mind, because now it's like, oh, this girl's pretty. No, I think this girl's pretty. No, I think this one, and then it's like, and then here's the worst, right? You actually experience that girl, you go on a date with that girl, you hang out with that girl who's in your city. Like through the portal of the phone, let's just say here in LA, you got access to 4 million people, 5 million people, who knows? And then you can find all of the young people, the 14 to 18 or the 18 to 22 or the 22 to 25, like you can figure that out, narrows it, but then you have all this access and you literally have people swiping left and right on people. And you have people liking things and disliking things, and you literally get to pick and choose profiles and people, and it's like window shopping on steroids, And then you start experiencing these people, and you don't like them, and you know that you got 100 more. So you're like, I don't like that about you. Next, I don't like that about you. Next, I don't like that about you. Next. It is disgusting. But it's also the other thing I wanted to point out is, isn't it interesting that the young people don't know how to talk to each other?
They don't.
Yes, dude.
Isn't that weird? Like they don't know how to walk up to anybody. Yeah, they don't know how to walk up to anybody and like actually have a conversation, because everything has happened through texting and DMs and through the phone. So all interaction is through the phone. So when they get in real life, they're like super awkward. They have no confidence. Yeah. They don't know how to hold themselves. Yeah. And that's because it's all happened through the screen. But, all junior hires are awkward and weird, and it doesn't mean that even before we had phones, there were a lot of awkward and weird people in high school, right? No doubt. But you can grow out of that, just by interacting a lot. So it's a mess, dude.
It's bad.
It is.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's, there's been, I don't know, I think it's also destroying our future families, future relationships. I think a lot of people don't want to get married now. I think a lot of people don't want to date. A lot of people don't want. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Trashy.
No. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No.
He was making a valid point. Look at you, man.
Interrupt anytime.
Forget.
No. I already said it.
I got to
Give him a cup.
So we're gonna.
Give him a cup. Just go ahead. Don't let the camera see.
I hope we're recording all this.
Yeah.
We're using that. Yeah.
Just don't let the camera see, bud.
Mayo,
Bob. Mayonnaise sandwich break. Oh, yeah. Come on, bud.
But you're a man, so you can hold it.
Trashy.
Come on.
Josh, I loved your breakdown of that.
Man, that's true. That's facts, man.
Oh, yeah, send me a link to that podcast.
Yeah.
Man, I was at a high school because, I sub for the school district. And, every, intermission, or what you call it, break nowadays, a break or recess or whatever pass, dude, just like it's like a crowd of just sheep that's just.
Man, I was telling you, I drove by the college, and there's a bus stop out there, and everyone's like waiting for the bus or waiting for someone to pick them up, and everyone's just like in proximity, but just like on their phone, just
awkward.
I'm just like, no one, like not a single person was talking to another person, like in close proximity to each other. Like like you don't want to like say hi or like
Nothing like. Back in high school, bro, we were out there on the blacktop every day either playing basketball or football. The girls was on the side cheerleading. It was just a different day, man. And it's like, I'm just sitting there watching it, and I'm just like,
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Like transport yourself into that experience. So everybody's playing basketball on the court. The girls are hanging out. Everybody's on the sidelines. Everybody's watching, and nobody has a phone.
Nobody.
There's nothing else to pay attention to. Yeah. All you can focus on is what's right in front of you.
Yes.
All you can focus on is the people next to you. All you can focus on is the wind blowing and the birds flying by and the sirens going off and like whatever. You know what I mean? It's like everything's right there together, and you're just all experiencing it right there in the same moment. But now we've entered a brand new world in which we can transport our minds and ourself into another universe and literally leave the place where we're at right now just by entering into the phone.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It's weird.
It's scary.
It's very, very strange.
Go ahead, Aaron.
No, I didn't have anything else.
We don't know what we're doing to ourselves. No. I don't think we're going to know for like 50 years.
No. And I'm sure that right now, off bat, you can think of 5 things, like as fast as you can, 5 things that happened at high school that was just funny to you.
Yeah.
You can just name 5 things. I know I can right now. Right. Like that one time we were out there playing football and the seagull just took a dump on one of the guys as he's just sitting there about to catch the ball. You know what I mean? And it's like, or even like the school fights and all that. No, I mean, it's sad to say, but everybody was just looking. Right.
Everybody's right there. Nobody's videotaping.
The time we would just go around and slap people's food out their hand. You're like, and you be like, you don't want that, pop. You don't see any of that in school anymore. Like, and the dude be all, oh man, I'm gonna beat you up. Like, so many things happen. Kids, you don't see that.
Right.
You had to be there to experience.
Yes.
Like, or you heard a story about it from someone else. Like, oh man, you weren't there after school. Such happened.
Yeah.
You missed it.
Like you had to be there.
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole different world, man. It's weird to see. And then like I heard, that it's even difficult for kids. Like,
ladies and gentlemen, Dan Gearbay back on the podcast. Let's go, Dan Gearbay.
Okay.
Better.
All right. Get you a cup next time.
Yeah, get him a cup.
No, it's interesting to see like how things now are, everyone's recording. So like you can be in school and do something dumb, like trip and fall, and then the people that were around you saw and they laughed and it's like, ah ha ha, and you can get over it. But now like everyone takes out their phone, you're recorded, and then that's just like now so-and-so shared it with so-and-so, you go into the next class and then they know about it, and like I don't know how that affects a young person, like how they can deal with that. Like you almost have to be perfect at all times. Like I can understand why maybe they don't want to interact with people because it's like, oh, someone's gonna record me, I'm gonna be the next person to go viral because I did something dumb or I said something dumb. And it's like I wish, like, I really enjoyed that experience at when we did the live recording with Fredo. Yeah. And like they made us drop our phones off. Like it was kind of nice just to be like, I would have normally picked up my phone, probably checked a text message or saw an email come through, but just to focus in and be there in the moment, listening to the sermon. I wasn't distracted. Like it I don't know. I wish there was a.
You had to experience it.
Yeah, you had to. You had to engage.
There was nothing else to experience. There was nothing else to go to.
Yeah.
No, it's also it's created discontentment as well, right? Yeah. It is like having access to what everybody on the whole planet is doing causes you to want forever. Like you never stop wanting more because every time you get your hands on something, you swipe again and you see another thing. And it's endless knowledge. It's the pursuit of endless experiences. It's the pursuit of, you're like almost never satisfied or content with your own life and where you're at and what God has given you and what God's blessed you with. We talked about this last weekend, and I talked about this, this sermon called Content in Eden. because Adam and Eve were content in the garden. They had God, and they had every beautiful thing, and they had all the trees to eat. They had everything, and somehow they got to this place where there's one more thing that they wanted. And I was sitting there thinking, like, how do you even get there when you're content? Like, how do you get there? When you're with God, like when you're in his presence, when you're in perfection, like how do you even get there? And this is what shocked me. It's like, and the snake shows up, he slithers up and he whispers in her ear, you need more. You need more. You need something else. Has God really said you can't eat of that tree?
Yeah.
And then he gets her thinking about it. It's like, yeah, wait a minute. He's like, he said that because he knows you're going to be like him. You're going to be like God. And so I didn't see this. I never saw this before in the text. But all of a sudden I saw that really, I think some of the darkest words we've ever experienced in our own ears are the darkest words, that most evil words that Satan himself whispers in our ears, our flesh, the world whispers in our ear, is this over and over. You need more. You need more. You need more. This, what you have right now, is not enough. And really an illustration that really broke me, even in the middle of this sermon, is there's this guy, it's a true story. He has a farm, he has a house, he has a great setup and a great place, business that does well. Yeah, I don't remember what year this was, but the story goes on to say that he had this place, and he comes to meet another businessman who tells him about a diamond mine and says, dude, if you get your hands on the diamond mine, like, you're really going to make some amazing money. So the man sells his farm that takes care of his family and has a river running through it. This beautiful place. He sells it all to take the money to go start searching for the diamond mine. And he goes to search for the diamond mine, and he ends up burning up all of his money, cash doing it, traveling, trying to figure it out. He never finds it. He's in despair and depression, and he kills himself. Lo and behold, the man that he sold his farm to, the story goes that one day he took some of his camels over to drink out of the river that ran through the pond. And as the camels were drinking, the man saw a flash in the river, and it was the sparkle of the rainbow in a rock. And he pulled it out, and it was a diamond. And that river produced, it was one of the greatest diamond mines on the planet, was sitting on his farm. And he didn't know it. And it stinking broke me, dude, because I saw that the diamonds are all sitting right in front of me. It's my kids. It's my wife. It's my home. It's what I have right now. And I don't need anything else. And this phone keeps telling me I need more. It keeps telling me that my farm, what I have right now, is not enough. And I actually got diamonds like right in front of me. All the diamonds, the 12 tribes, I want it all.
Sandals and all.
Sandals and all.
He walks.
He walks.
I already know.
He walks. Sandals and all. And, but isn't that a trip? It's like,
Oh, it's good.
why can't the whisper in our ear and in this time is you need more. And I think the sin of our generation is covetousness.
Yes.
It's coveting what everyone else has. And it's the 10th commandment, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's slaves or servants, your job. You shouldn't covet his donkey or his horses, his cars. You shouldn't cover any of that. Anything that he has, it says, you shall not covet. And dude, social media is doing this. Like literally, we covet everything.
Everything.
And like, it's dawning on me, man. Like we're not content. But dude, the quotes, I went into my quote book, and like the treasure of quotes that came forth were this over and over again. It's like the man who is content is the richest man on the planet. If you have contentment, you have great wealth. And because the rich man who is discontent is poor.
Yeah.
He's not happy with all that he has.
Solomon had it all, man. And I mean, that's one of the best examples that we have. I mean, the guy had everything his eyes and his hands could touch, right? Like, as far as his eyes can see,
Everything.
it was all there for him. And he said, it's all vanity. It's all emptiness, right? You'll never see a U-Haul truck behind a hearse.
That's right.
Never see it. You can't take it with you. And, I try to encourage even some of the people at my job that I get to talk to at my fellow coworkers who are just discontent with their spouse or their girlfriend, their boyfriend. Like, you gotta look at all aspects of life, right? And we keep beating this dead horse with social media, but it's very imperative that we make this point for those who are out there thinking that their spouse is not enough, or their the house that they're living in, or whatever it is. It's not the car that they've been in for the last 10, 15 years. It's not enough. It is enough. We're just bombarded with things over and over on our phone that's showing us that we need more, like you said, Josh.
I think a practical way to solve this, I was trying to think about practical application, how do you deal with this in your own mind? I think it's that we need not live in the past too much, or we just always think about our regrets and what we did wrong, what we wish we could have done. And we should not live in the future so much, where we're just constantly planning and worrying about the future and how I'm going to make all this stuff happen. Because then again, you're living in another world. You're not living now. So what do? I think it's okay to have plans, deal with the past, cut it off and get present, enjoy what is right in front of you right now. But then also, we can plan for the future. We can plan for, I don't know, you want to get a different house. You want to get a new car. You want to, whatever it may be, you want to work on your marriage. You can do all of these things. You can plan to do that, right? But then shelve it. You've planned, now shelve it and enjoy today. Enjoy your car. Yep. This is the one I got.
Yeah.
I hope to get a better car, but this is the one I got right now, so I'm going to enjoy it. I don't want to say, you plan to get another wife. No, don't do that. You enjoy
this one tripping, man. You got one more time.
Enjoy the one you have right now. No, seriously though, enjoy your wife, enjoy your kids, enjoy your house, enjoy your car, enjoy the food you got, whatever is right in front of you, be content with it. This is what God has blessed you with, and enjoy it. Make the plans, shelve it, and then get back to enjoying right now today.
Yeah, there's a bunch of scriptural references I was trying to pull up right now, but
Bring
I
it.
have to. There's one verse, right? Godliness with contentment is
a great game.
Yes.
And Paul even talks about, he's like, I've had
Hebrews 6.
a lot and I've had a little. And he's like,
4.
what I've learned
Yes.
is to be content with,
In all things, man.
And then also, too, it's
with food and clothing.
there's, that, and then forgetting that which is behind and looking forward to that which is ahead.
Amen.
For the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. So you can't move forward if you're always dwelling on the past. It paralyzes you. You just get paralyzed and you can't do anything. That's what I thought of when you're saying that.
Spurgeon gave, sorry, Aaron.
No, just in line with that, I think remembering the gospel in every moment. I think sometimes our past failures can even paralyze us, and forgetting that, I think as believers, we understand salvation, God's work, and that we're saved, we'll enter into the gates and we'll stand before Him one day. But that time you just blew up, that sin is covered also. Christ, one of the things I love we used to do in the accountability group was we preach the gospel specific to the sin that the brother confessed next to us.
That's right.
And just remembering, whenever you fall short, forgetting that which is behind, and not to overlook it and take grace and take it take advantage of grace, but recognizing that sin should not paralyze you from moving forward.
Amen.
And recognizing that the gospel is applicable. Christ's blood was sufficient to cover that sin too. And now you can go and sin no more. Continue to move forward and walk in obedience to Christ and allow those things to not be a burden on your shoulder. Jesus said, take my yoke. It's easy and it's light. It's not meant for you to carry the burdens and the guilt of the shame from sins that you may have just committed yesterday or in the moment before. Let that be what it's going to be, and receive the forgiveness of God, understand the gospel and as it applies to that specific thing, and move forward and allow yourself to be free in what God has called you to do, and go and sin no more.
Super good. Super good.
Facts.
The quote Spurgeon pointed out was, or one of the ones that really hit was, he said, ever an old woman who lives in a cottage, and she didn't have much, but she had that cottage. And in that cottage, she picked up the little that she had, the bread and the water, and she was about to have this meal, and she says, she chooses to say a blessing before the Lord, and she says, I have food and water. She says, all this and Christ too. I have all this and Christ too. Like how blessed she is to have her needs taken care of, and I get Jesus. I got the bonus, man.
Yeah.
I got everything that I need in him. And it just, again, it wrecked me again, to seeing like, gosh, it's so crazy how we can be discontent when it's like we're wearing nice shoes and, we driving, we can get from place to place, we get to eat the food and drink the coffee and like, I mean, we are so blessed.
Big time.
We're top 1% in the whole world.
Yeah.
We're not worrying about whether or not our kids are going to have food tomorrow. We're not worrying about, whether or not, they're going to have a place to sleep. Like it's really amazing that we've been taking care of all these years. And there are fathers on the planet right now who are worrying about those things, and don't have two pennies to rub together. But, we must be content in him, especially in America. My gosh, we have so much.
How long you guys been married? I mean, I know, but just for the viewers who don't know, but
Yeah, I'm 12 years.
12 years,
10 years.
10,
11.
and I'm going on 12. Do you guys ever get that like, man, y'all been married for so long, like, how are y'all doing it? And you don't desire no other woman? Like, do y'all ever get that question?
Do anybody ever have? Do you ever desire any other women?
Like, yeah, like.
Aaron, we have to be the one telling him that because that's who he's hanging out with.
That ain't me. Trust me.
I mean, yeah. Are you saying like, like you've been married so long, don't you have?
Like, do you ever desire?
You get tempted?
Or, do you get like? Because I mean,
Sure.
I work around most people who don't either probably have a relationship with God or
Right.
believe in the Lord.
Right.
So like, of course.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
So outside of the church.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, outside of the church. I think probably in the gym, that's where that happens.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, that's kind of like the first place that I have interactions with like men who are like completely in the world, completely depraved. All they are is sitting there talking about dark trash,
Yeah.
And I think they forget I'm a pastor, oftentimes, or they're just doing their thing that they normally do. But I don't know. I mean, specifically, I don't think any of these guys have asked me, but anytime they're pushing that, I just push back the other direction,
Yeah.
And I like pushing back the other direction.
Yeah.
I love my wife, I love my kids, I say things like that, just looking at me like, "Well, are you sure about that? It's like, no, I do though. I really do. And I'm thankful for the treasure I have at home. But I can see that in the world. I mean, it's popular today, right?
Yeah.
Like where people are just like, who wants to stay married?
Yeah.
Who wants to get married and stay married long term? You mean you're going to be one woman for the rest of your life? Are you crazy? Why would you want to do that? And so, especially when you got social media and you got the smorgasbord of like women. But I mean, what I've found, love to hear what you guys think, but what I've found is that the longer that you're married, the more honest you can become and the more vulnerable you can become. And because they've forgiven you so many times, so many stupid things, that all of a sudden you realize like, oh my gosh, this person really loves me, and you can be more honest and more open with them, and you can be yourself more. And so what people are drawn to about a new relationship or a new experience is just that, the new thing. But then we know that there's like, if you contrast the person that you've only known for like 4 months to the person that you've known for 12 years in marriage, like they don't even know me. And you don't even know if they're committed. You don't know if they're going to forgive you for the rest of your life. You don't know if they're going to love you through everything. You don't know. You don't know if they're going to be a good mom. You don't know if they're going to, you don't know any of this stuff. And you're like, that girl is basically just an experience.
Yeah.
And it's a short one and it's a small one. And that experience cannot outweigh what God has given me, in my 12. Like the gold over here is like, this is a little, like, this is a little pixie dust, over here. This is like a quick fix experience. And I can go to Mastro's and have a great steak, and that'll probably be, about the equivalent of the experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why don't be deceived, by, I mean, the world can't help. It's the only thing they know.
Yeah.
But, we got to see Pastor Mike and we got to see all these godly men who've loved their wives and their kids, all these years. And it's like, dude, I want that.
Yeah.
I don't want a quick fix. Like, I'm good. I don't want divorce. I don't want any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember hearing someone talk about, if that was more prevalent in our society, how many social ills would be resolved, if the fatherless epidemic would be resolved.
Wow.
If husbands and wives would be committed to one another and to stay married and hold to the commitment that they made, the suicide rate would go down significantly. The prevalence of STDs would go away. Out of wedlock births would go away. The need for social services because of, people being, single mothers being left behind while guys run off. Like if people would just commit to their relationship
Yes.
long term. And I love that you use that word, like commitment. Like marriage isn't about like just your happiness. Like I'm happy being married, but that's not like the motivating force for me being happy.
Right.
Like I love my wife and I am committed to her. Like regardless of what happens, like I made a vow, I made a commitment. And as a man that stood before God and my friends, like the Bible is clear, like you don't have to take any vows, but if you do take a vow, like be sure to keep it. And so when I made that commitment, like my wife knows that I committed to you, regardless of what happens, whatever season may come our way. If it's, things with our children, they may go astray or whatever the case may be. Like we are committed to this family, to this relationship, whether you're upset at me because I didn't do something at the house, like we're going to get past that because I'm committed to you. I'm not going anywhere and you're not going anywhere. And we're going to be together for as long as we are alive on this earth. And I think if people had that perspective, they were thinking long term about relationship and the commitment of marriage. Like no one has to get married. Like it's not a requirement for you to get married. But if you do, take it seriously and understand that it's a commitment. Like, and that goes beyond how you may feel in moments.
Yes.
Because that will happen. Like your feelings will change.
Yeah.
And getting a new partner isn't going to resolve that.
No.
Yeah.
It may satisfy for a short period of time. It's interesting, like how many people when they do get a divorce, like how many times after that they have another divorce and another divorce. And it's like
Searching, man.
maybe the problem isn't like your partner, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was an eye-opening experience when I got married. Like living with the brothers, I was like, man, these fools, they always get on my nerves, man. I can't wait till I get up out of here. I get married, like everything's gonna be gravy. And then I get married, and I get married, and I find like, man, I still get a little frustrated. Like, maybe it wasn't the brothers. Maybe like I just got things I need to work on. And I have these misconceived ideas of how things are supposed to be. And I'm seeking to be served rather than being willing to serve. And when you have that change of perspective, I think you can appreciate the marriage relationship that I'm here to serve my wife, to love her.
Yeah.
And then your wife is serving you. And then you create that same situation, like in an early friendship or community where you want to bless one another.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're trying to out bless each other. Like, well, he did this. I really want to bless him. And she did that, I really want to bless her.
Yeah.
And it's not going to always be like that, but being able to forgive and love each other and hold fast to the fact that I committed. Like I made a commitment and I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, going back to community stuff, we learned so much. We talk about it all the time, the well, how much of an impact it had on us. The well was a college ministry. Pastor Josh and Mike Junker led it. But you guys were telling us as kids, you're like, true love is nonstop forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's like the gospel, right? Jesus has done for us. And then also, too, like when you find that person that you love and you want to marry, if you're saying to yourself, I want to marry them because they have a good job. It's not bad to have a good job, right? But I like the way they smell. They know how to cook good. They can give me good massages.
Hold on, massages.
Well, maybe not.
Hold on.
You didn't do
They're
premarital.
going to. But if that's
that
what you're
girl?
thinking,
Yeah, we're gonna get married one day. Yeah.
Good massage.
Hold on. I know we ain't supposed to be. I know we ain't supposed to be alone, girl. But
we didn't do massages, all right? I'm sorry. I didn't put that out. That was a bad example. Okay, stay focused. So if they said, I want to marry this person because of what they can do for me, right? It's not entirely bad, but I don't think it's the right heart. The right heart is I want to marry this person for them.
Yeah.
Because I love them so much. Like, I just want to be there for them and be a blessing to them and serve them any way I can. And that's where, when you get married, you have that commitment to somebody as husbands, as fathers. We now have a burden on us. It's a load, but it's a good burden.
Good.
Because it's like Doug Wilson says, he's like, men are like flatbed trucks driving down the road. If they don't have a load on it, it bounces all over the place. You put a heavy load on there, it's steady. It just goes straight. And having a family, having a wife and children that depend on you. Responsibility is a good thing. It's a good thing for young men. It's a good thing for old men. It makes us focused and driven.
Yeah.
It causes you to be responsible and persistent and to pursue. And I think just having that community at the well, being taught what to look for in a relationship, and we found our wives there, all of us. And it was a small pool of people to choose from. It was actually pretty big because Harvest is a big church, but it was a blessing not having all these different options.
Totally.
We got to be friends first, all of us, all the wives. And man, that's the other thing to think about. If you're already married, the Lord has blessed you with that wife because she was designed for you.
Amen.
You were designed for her. And so you guys, you come together perfectly. You got to remember that, you know? And so if you water the grass where you are, it's going to get
It's going to be good. Yeah. And I asked that because, like, that conversation comes up here and there.
Does it really?
In our workplace. And, we're always out in the field. So, you got some of the guys, oh, man, you see her, she bad. Oh, man, she bad. But look, Deon, look. And I'm like, I'm just like, yeah, she's pretty, yeah. I'm not gonna be like, I'm a man, right? Yeah, she's pretty, but
they're like, you're married. They're like, Deon, you married 10
married
years
for 12 years? It's like, yeah, man. Why? It's nah, man. I don't know if I could do that. And it's like, man, it's crazy because it's something I try to tell people. You can't try to operate in a situation where it's only can be blessed and designed, and it's designed by God. Marriage was instituted from the Lord. So it's like doing it without him is it's impossible to me. If God instituted marriage, it can't work apart from him. You can try to force things and try to get it going, but it's, to me, right, and biblical.
Right.
But, we get those conversations and I'm like, look, man, yeah, she's pretty, but what's it going to be? Like, I always tell them, like, okay, I'm going to take 12 years and throw that down the drain for what, 2 minutes? Right? If that, like, not getting too crazy about it. But anyway, and I'm just being honest. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Don't be that honest.
That's number one, right? Like, I'm not going to destroy, because my wife and I, you guys are my close brothers. You know what I went through. I've lost a kid. We've gone through so many ups and so many downs. Like, why would I want to destroy what the Lord, and we're so strong. Like, my wife and I were so strong together. And I feel like there's no one else I could be myself with outside of her. I mean, of course, my brothers, but
as much as her.
As much as her. And it's like, why would I want to throw that away?
No way.
Not to mention the damage to your children. Like, there's so many ripple effects from making a poor decision. And I heard a pastor say one time, like, are you looking for a good night? Or are you looking for a good legacy? And I wish that men would be thinking long term. When you talked about, like, when you go into a marriage and you want to look for someone that you can serve and bless, that's great. But you also want to be looking for someone that you can build a legacy with.
Yeah.
That generations can come after us and say, like, my mother and father got together and they served the Lord, and now I love the Lord, and I'm looking to raise the next generation, that we would have generations and generations after us that would love the Lord and would live blessed lives. Like, it's not just to say that we're Christian. Like, I live a great life. Like, we live great lives, and we can have the perspective of contentment because we have a foundation in the scriptures and we see what the truth is. And you look at, like, the sin of Eve and Adam in the garden. they didn't they strayed away from the truth, what God had told them, and they believed the lie. And apart from having a foundation in Christ, you are gonna fall for the lie every single time. And if we hold true to what we know to be true in the scriptures, then we can come back to that place like, yeah, I need to be content. I need to redeem the time. I need to enjoy these diamonds that are in front of me, because everything else is vanity. And apart from that, it's emptiness. It's not worth seeking after. But having that long-term perspective that these decisions that I'm making today are to help lay the foundation for a legacy of a lifetime, and not just for me today and satisfying my desires, but looking to set up my son and my daughter for a future that would be blessed and enjoyable. And I think when we have that long-term vision, it's easier to make the decisions in the moment. And so when you have people at work asking you about that, it's like, again, like, why would I throw away all that for a moment? Like,
no thanks.
Exactly.
No thanks. I like the word commitment's been coming up, and it's really, commitment does give you decades of treasure. And commitment, this word, ensures that there will be more pain. You will go through hardship with your spouse. You guys will argue. You're going to go through stuff. You're going to, but it also ensures more happiness and joy as well. Great times, beautiful times. And that's the thing. You multiply your good times and your bad times through the 10 years. Just do it again the next 10 years. Now you got 20 years of bad times and good times. And then you got 30 years of good times and bad times. And you got 40 years and now you got 40 years of good times. 40 years of blessings that have just gotten better and better. And you're like, yeah, I'm rich, man. I'm blessed. And my kids, and then it's compounded in my children and my children's children. I want to speak to those as well, though, who are divorced, and but maybe you've gotten remarried. Stay married. You've committed. Dig in, get married, or stay married, and stay committed. That's it. You do not make this mistake again. Don't go down that path. Like, stay committed and carry this out long term. We started talking about kids. I'd love to talk about this a little bit, because we got four fathers here. Four fathers.
Four fathers.
You guys got Daniel. You have how many kids?
4 kids.
Deon.
Four, 3 here, one in heaven with the
one in heaven. 3 here, 1 in heaven. Aaron.
3 now.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3 kids. Aaron just had a baby. Marina had a baby. Marina had a baby.
A little bit.
And I got 3 kids, and ages.
You got a 8-year-old son, 6-year-old daughter, 4-year-old son, 2-year-old son.
Yep.
Charlotte is 10. She'll be 11 in April.
Wow.
Judith just turned 7, October 6th. And then Noah, he just turned 5, October 19th. And he was born the day after my son, who passed away. Levi was, his birthday was October 18th. And Noah, his is the 19th.
Praise God.
Yeah.
That's the Lord winking at you.
Yeah, man.
Amen. So good.
Yeah.
Aaron?
My son, the oldest, is 8. My daughter, middle child, is 5, and our newest is about 6 weeks old.
6 weeks.
Crazy.
I got a 5-year-old, basically 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
And what kind of gold? Like, when you think about raising kids, what is, what things what are you seeing? Like in raising kids, what do you think is most helpful and or necessary? What do these kids, what do these babies need? When you look at them through the different stages, what have you and your wife found to be like, I don't know, just great at, I guess, reaching them, right where they're at and staying connected to them and engaging them? How have you guys cultivated your relationship with your kids?
I think the first thing is recognizing that they're each unique. You can't take like a shotgun approach to it and like it's going to work for every single kid. Taking the time to understand like who your kids are and spend time with them, understand like my son, he's different than my daughter, and I need to interact with him differently, and like trying to think again long term for him, like who do I want him to be as a man when he grows up, and trying to begin with that in mind. So I'm not disciplining him just to appease me and to satisfy, so like they can stop frustrating me, but I'm trying to show him so that he can be a successful part of society and to be a godly man, and trying to prepare him for that. And these things that I'm telling him to do or correcting him on is not just because dad says so, but this is what God calls us. And these same rules that I'm giving to you, they apply to me as well. Like, and when I fall short, I need to get those things correct. I need to repent to the Father, just like you need to be corrected. And so having that perspective that they're all unique, and the vision that I have for his life and for their lives is that they would seek to honor God, and recognizing that the love that I have from the Father, that is an example of how I need to love my children. And the grace that God gives me, he's my father, and he's super gracious to me. Like he's entrusted me with things that I shouldn't be entrusted with. He's given me the responsibility to lead a home. So I want to do that well, and I want to be an example to my kids and love them in such a way that they would be compelled to do the same in their later years.
And just kind of piggybacking off of what Aaron is saying, I think it's very, very important to have a father in your life. Like to have both parents in the home. Like it's very crucial. And I'm kind of a product of not really having my biological dad wasn't really there for me. My stepdad was around, but he was always going doing his own thing. So I was technically raised by my mom, but I'm at this point where I'm learning still and constantly growing and learning as a husband and a father on how to parent my kids, because it wasn't really, done for me. And so I model everything that I get to, spew on them from the scriptures, and try to be the dad that the Lord has called me to be, right? And sometimes it's challenging for me, because I do have to figure out at times how to parent from each kid, making sure I'm not playing favoritism for one or the other, and making sure I'm there. Mark Driscoll has I'm pretty sure you heard it, Aaron, but Mark Driscoll my wife sent me one of his messages called, let me see here. It was right here. God's blessing and God's discipline. And he was just emphasizing the importance on, fathering and parenting outside of God's word versus inside of God's word. Making sure we're not disciplining in a fleshly way, but understanding the difference of parenting out of anger or just parenting biblically in the space of just parenting. It's good, really, and how to just discipline your kids without, without being angry and doing it the Lord's way, and the outcome of that, and how that relationship actually continues to grow if you're not doing it out of anger, making sure you're just coming, to each child.
Especially important for the guys, for the fathers.
I think you touched on it before within the relationship, with husband and wife. Like you have to ask yourself, like, are they sinning against me or are they sinning against God?
Yeah.
And I think when we approach our children the same way, it's like, did they sin against God? Did they break God's law, or did they just break my rule?
Yeah, why am I getting mad here?
Yeah, exactly. And in examining that and taking a step back and trying to parent biblically and like recognize, okay, they didn't sin against God. They spilled the milk.
Yeah.
We can clean it up, and being gracious to them. So like they don't, I don't know, have a fear of their parent. Like, I can't make a mistake because my dad's never going to love me again. Like the Bible is clear to fathers, especially. Do not provoke your children to wrath. Like I don't know, like for me, that's like a huge thing. Like I do not want to provoke my children to wrath. I want to provoke them to grace and to be kind, compassionate, to be like Jesus as much as I can. So I need to represent that as much as I can. But yeah, I agree, like understanding how to parent biblically and to recognize what God's law is and what are just my commandments, and not allow my commandments to supersede God's commandments, because then you become a Pharisee.
Yeah.
There's a good book, Shepherding a Child's Heart by Paul Tripp, I think, right?
Yep, Paul David Tripp.
I remember when I thought Paul and David were brothers. That's one guy. But that's a real good book, and it's shepherding a child's heart, like disciplining, keeping the heart issues in mind, not behavior. Like getting mad at them because they're yelling or making noise. It's like they're just having fun. It's not a sin issue.
They just want to be loved.
You can't be getting mad at that. One thing that's really helped us recently, we started homeschooling, and it's a public charter school. Really good. We got a lot of community within our neighborhood and our church that all go to the same charter school. And so there's that support system for my wife and all the moms and stuff. And but they hang out together. They they take classes together. They just had an etiquette class. They loved it.
Great.
But what we've found to be most beneficial since we've transitioned into homeschooling was just spending time together as a family has been amazing for the kids. They love it. You don't have to be doing anything crazy. Just be hanging out in the backyard, riding bikes in the front, going for a walk, going to the grocery store together. We're just spending time together. And they just like it. You can see a great change in them in terms of how they interact with us and how we interact with them. It's been a blessing. The other thing to mention was there's several different professions out there that have unlimited overtime, right? Or there's side hustles, this and that. There's a ton of ways to make money, and as fathers, we're always thinking like, well, if I make more money, I'm being a better dad because I'm able to provide more. But the kids, really, they don't care how much money you have right now. They're little. They just want you home.
Wow.
They just want to spend time with you. They just want to be with you.
Yep.
When I go to work, my daughter doesn't ask me like, how much money are you going to make, Dad? She asks me, how many sleeps until you get home? She calls them sleeps, right? I'm just like, man, I don't want to go to work at all now.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's like they can care less how much money you're making. If you're gone all the time, it doesn't matter to them. They want you. They don't want the money. So I'm sure eventually they will, but while they're little.
Yeah, they will. No, it's so powerful, man. It's like they just want our time. That's all. And and there's this short season, this short time where they actually want to be around their parents, right? Yeah. Like they actually want to be with you all the time. And they think that you're superheroes or something. Like they want to, they just want to hang out like day and night, nonstop. They just want to be right there. And it can become annoying, if you're like trying to get something done, but it's like if you can stop and realize what's going on. I think one of you guys sent that meme over, the other day, or it was like the cartoon, of the guy who's, was like,
hang out, Dad.
Yeah, let's hang out, Dad. And he's like, not right now. Let's hang out, Dad. Not right now. Let's hang out, Dad. Not right now. 3 times in a row. And then the dad goes to him when the boy's grown and he says, son, let's hang out. And son says to him, not right now, Dad. Dang. And then in the comment or in the description of the meme, it says, try not to say not right now. Just try not to ever say that. I've been trying to institute that even with my kids because I'm noticing that there's a better way to say it. There's a better way to do it. It's like, Sheppy this morning, I'm like trying to do something. We got this little Pac-Man game that Dave hooked me up with, and it's a little arcade set. Like it sits it's an arcade set in the office, and he's like, "Daddy, play games with me. Play games with me." And I'm just like, I want to say not right now so bad, but all he wants is probably like 30 or 45 seconds. Like he's not asking for 10 minutes. He just wants me to engage him and like hang out with him right now. Yeah. And if I choose to do that, he's stoked. And he's like, we played a game together, and then I'm on doing my thing or whatever it was. But I see that they just want their cups filled. Just little, they got these little cups. They just want a little filling and then they go on their way. Yeah. But that's a scary thing, It's like I don't want to lose my kids long term. I want them to want to stay close to me. I want them to stay near me and Katie and grow old with us, and I think we need to do everything that we can to engage them right where they're at. And like Daniel's saying, just like spending time together. It's just like, but it's also not going to the grocery store and ignoring everyone because you're on your phone, right? It's like put the phone away and and you're goofing off with your kid in the aisle, you know, and you're like, son, go get that for me, you know, and you're doing, you know, like everybody's
stuff.
Yeah, they're engaged in the process. And when we just did a bunch of gardening yesterday, and I ripped out all the hedges on the front of our house, and we planted a bunch of stuff. So, you know, Sheppy's got the rake, you know, and Eden's got the shovel, you know, and Wes is even like, he's only one, you know, he just started walking. He's all trying to get in the game, you know, he's like picking up dirt and like doing stuff. But it's like everybody's there, you know, like everybody's together, like working and doing something together. And I love it.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm chopping wood, and I was like, I'm like, for the winter, right? 'Cause it's going to be so cold in California. Anyways, I was chopping wood, and no, I just like the fireplace. I like the fire. So I was chopping up all my wood, and Sheppy comes up and wants to help me. And of course, I'm just like nervous, like, but I'm like, you know what, dude, he can help me, you know, like, and so I figured out a way to help me. So I'm like blowing up wood, and he keeps yelling like, crack it, you know, like he's cracking it, you know, he's so excited. So I made him hide behind the tree while I crack it, and then he would run over and pick up the piece of wood and throw it in the pile.
Yeah.
He was stoked just to be there. And it's like, I think demeanor, I think our posture is so important, because if I have a sad or an angry face on, or if I have a worried face on, I can see it in my kids. It's so weird. Like, they'll be looking at me, and I'm like, why are they worried? Or why do they look all like, but I can see it on their face. And then if I smile, they brighten. Like, it literally, they reflect me. And I'm like, so I'm like constantly trying to tell myself, like, lighten up, dude. Like, have a good time, you know, enjoy your family. Like, stop being the stick in the mud, you know, like, brighten this thing. Anyways, those things that come to mind.
You are the leader.
Well, one thing a concept that I like is the idea of like the deposits in the bank account. I forget who I heard this from, but it was like that spending time with your kids is a deposit, right? In that relational account, and make as many deposits as you can, because as parents, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall short. We're going to, you know, out of frustration, you know, say something or snap at our kids. And that's a withdrawal. But if you have a high enough balance in that bank account, you're not destroying that relationship. But if all they hear is not right now, you never put a deposit in, that bank account may be sitting like barely at zero, or sometimes already in the negative. And then when you snap, it's like, that's unforgivable.
Yeah.
Like, I can't come back from that. You have no balance to work with them, and you're destroying the relationship. So as much as you can, make deposits. You see your kid do something cool, like, oh, that was cool, I saw you jump off the curb or whatever. Like, you know, just like, that was awesome. I like that. Or they share something. Oh, I read this in the book, Dad. And it's like, oh, that's cool. Tell me about it. Those little deposits. I think the example was like, there was a father who was walking through the grocery store, he's checking out, and he grabbed a skateboard magazine. He doesn't like skateboarding, but he knows his son does. And so he comes home, he's like, hey, son, I thought of you. I got the skateboard magazine for you. And the kid's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. And so he gives him, he's just making deposits. And then he invests time to take his son to all the baseball parks in America, and takes a month off of work to do it. He comes back to work, and his coworkers are like, man, I didn't know you like baseball like that. He's like, I don't. I just like my son. And he took time to make deposits. And I think that we as parents can do that. Make deposits, whatever it may be, just loving on your kid. You know your kid best, and just make those deposits. So when you have to make a withdrawal, unfortunately, you have some leverage there. You still have some room to recover and to continue to make investments and not damage those relationships, because they will grow up and they will be adults. And you don't want to hear, not right now, like that. That would be the most, especially when they're dealing with big things in life. That you have a relationship with them, so you can be a voice into what they're experiencing in life.
I heard someone told me one day, they were like, Deon, how does kids spell love? It's Time. And I was like, dang, I always remember that. And one thing that I try to do with my kids, because Aaron, we were all just talking about this literally like 2 days ago, about how inflation is just crazy right now. And now, like, if you got a wife who's able to stay home, you might have to pick up another job and just go out there and get it, you know? And then, you know, certain people might say, well, man, dude, like, man, I won't barely see my family. And it's like, you make time for whatever is important, you know, important to you. And I think one of the habits that I tried to instill with my family and my kids, and one of the things they love to do is just go out to breakfast on my day off. Whether it's one day If it's 2 days, man, they struck gold, right? But I know my kids always, hey, Dad, you're off today. Are we gonna go to breakfast? You know, and we try to separate at least one day
awesome.
on my day off to just go to breakfast. And then, you know, one of the things that, you know, I never got to do as a family was just sit at the dinner table and eat dinner with your family. It's something so simple that kids will remember.
Yes.
You know, because my wife, she comes from a family who they've done that all their life.
Wow.
And you'll be surprised how much just consistently sitting at the dinner table with your family and just talking, laughing, joking. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Every night.
So important.
It's sometimes some people think it's a little bit too hard to do that, but it's not. And it's just those times of sitting at the dinner table, you're talking about whatever, joking around. You know, whether you pop out a scripture or two or whatnot, do that. I encourage that, you know, because they'll remember that.
It's not too late if you've been not doing it like that. That's all
amen.
of us. We were all doing it like that, and then we found out,
Right.
you know, and then now we're trying to make it better. So it's not too late.
Amen.
The other thing, when you're telling your kid, not right now, the way you can say it is, we'll do it in 5 minutes from now. Say, hold on. Yeah, it's a great idea. Let me take care of this real quick. We'll do this in 10 minutes, or we'll do this at this time.
It's good.
Because one thing my wife was telling me, she's like, she heard it from somewhere, I forget where. But basically, when you tell a kid, when the kid's asking you, Dad, play games with me, or Dad, let's go eat breakfast together, they're asking you, Dad, love me. And so when you say, no, not right now, you're saying, no, I'm not going to love you right now. That's how they receive it. Because they want you to love them that way. That's how they want it. And then, you know.
So good. That's so good. What kind of differences have you guys seen in the way that you love your boy versus the way that you love your girl? You know, what major things do you see in your relationship with each of them? Obviously, they all have different personalities, but do you see some general things that your boys, you know, really appreciate, or your girls really appreciate? You know, how do you handle them differently? Like, what has been really helpful?
I try to tell my kid, I say, son, I die for you. Daughters, I kill for you. Yeah, you, son, I'm going to die for. Daughters, I'll kill for you.
It's good. That's good. Yeah.
No,
one says, I'm going to protect you.
yeah,
And one says, I'm going to sacrifice for you.
yeah,
Yeah, those are really interesting things, you know,
Yeah.
because soldiers lay down their life for one another. But a woman does want to be protected and provided for and taken care of.
yeah.
Very interesting.
It's instilled in us, man.
You're just saying it in the slang version.
Saying it in slang version, but it's truth to it, man. Because, you know, after the loss of my first son, you know, I think that helped me appreciate my kids a lot more. I mean, not that we don't, right? But in 2015, for those who don't know, I lost my son Levi 2 days before his due date. So my wife was full term, and you know that was a situation for us. But man, like now, not that like. Again, I say, like, not that we don't appreciate. Of course, they're our kids, right? Like, we love and appreciate them. But it gave me a certain just deep love and reverence for my kids. And, you know, like, just the appreciation of just life, right? Like I said, for my girls, you know, of course I'll die for them, but I will kill for them, you know. But Lord willing to never have to get to that point. But you know, you see something as precious as a kid, and it helps me think about just biblically what kids represent, right? Like the innocence of a kid, right? And you see what's going on in our world and what's taking place as the world is trying to strip that innocence away from our kids.
Right.
It puts you in that protective mode. It puts you in that just overbearing and loving for your family type of situation. So it's like now, as fathers and as parents, you know, we approach the situation to want to harbor our kids and protect them that much more. And I don't know, man, every day I see my girls, and I just, aim to be the father that I can be for them. And I think it's most important that the women out there just be that model, be that model of a woman for your girls. And dads, we have to be that model for our boys.
Good.
And that ties into our relationship with Christ, right? And we were talking about that, for that kid that, I was working at the elementary school, he tripped on me. Where you from? He doesn't have that model, but
Right.
to see the community that we have and to instill those biblical precepts into our kids at a very early age is very important, because when they're around that kid who's talking crazy and stuff, they can realize, what's good and what's bad. So making sure we loving on our kids and starting at the house, right?
I think with my son, I'm trying to creating him a sense of responsibility and speak the vision for our family. Hey, we're going to be generous. I understand you don't want to share the Switch and you want to play your game, but in our family, we're going to be known as being generous people. You have so much, share, or he has responsibilities. He has to take out the trash. I want to always be pushing him to try things, to expand. He's 8 years old, but I want him to be able to cook a meal. He can make toast. He can make something on teaching him okay, this is how the fire works. And then also teaching him responsibility for his sister. If you guys are out playing and someone's being rude to your sister, you need to go be there for your sister. You guys are on the same team. You need to protect her. And I'm not telling him to go out and punch kids in the face, but you need to protect. You
Just punch him in the stomach.
I should say kick him.
Hey, I tell my son to do that. If somebody bullying you, man, protect yourself. Kick him in the.
Sorry.
Girls too. Sorry, guys.
I want to encourage him to not be fearful. Everyone's just like you. They're just a human, just like you. You're a strong boy. I want to speak things into him that he would recognize.
Good.
You're strong. You're smart. You're a smart kid. You can think a way around this instead of just giving him the answer. I want to challenge him. And if you need help, I'm here. I want to help you. I want you to be successful. But ultimately, you have the capacity to figure this out, and I want you to continue to develop that. So he will be a leader in a sense in our society, in our community one day, and that he'll be a strong, very smart and know these things that dad thinks that you're strong. Sometimes I just have him man, punch me real quick. See how, show your strength. And so he'll punch me. I'm okay. And so that he knows that he has power, but he doesn't have to use it. I'm a grown man. And if I can feel the pain of your punch, you have strength. You can hurt someone if you need to, but you don't you have to be able, I don't know. I just want him to understand who he is as a man, as a boy, as a young boy, and pointing him to one day you're going to be a man. I understand you're 8 years old, you don't have it all figured out yet, you make mistakes, but one day you're going to be a man and you need to figure this out. And dad's not always going to be able to be there to help you. And so I feel like I interact with him more like that, maybe because he's older. And my daughter, I want to love on her and let her know, like you said, that I'm a protector, that I will be there for you. And when she's at school, just trying to help her navigate things. But I feel like because he's older and I feel like he's more receptive, I spend a lot more time with my son, trying to teach drop those little nuggets that I feel like my dad did for me in ways. And I want him to develop and to be a good man one day.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time. You don't have as much time as we think we do with them. I mean, once they're 10 years old, it's they've gone through so much life already. They absorb so much at that early age.
Right.
So it's oh yeah, I'll get to it eventually. It's no, eventually it's not going to come. You got to start right now. With every little moment you got, you'll make time for what's important in your life. For my daughter, I like to, all my kids, they don't know how you feel about them or your role unless you tell them. And you're telling them, I will protect you. That's my responsibility as a father and a husband. And I think just letting your kids know exactly your role and why you're doing what you're doing, it's going to help them indirectly take on those values as well.
So good. Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that they don't know.
Yeah.
You may think they do, but they don't know. They don't know. And Katie was telling me this, that I can't remember the time frame of age, but the child is in their young years, they're literally absorbing everything as you say it.
Yeah.
Like it literally, like if you tell them something, if you tell them that Santa Claus is real, they'll believe it. Like you can tell them you can get them, they'll take on anything that you say, they'll literally just absorb it and it will imprint in their mind and then they will believe that. And what that causes me to see is that they'll take on truths about God. They'll take on truths about the world, about society. Anything that you say to them, they will take it on. You can instill anything you want into them. They're a blank canvas and they're waiting to just absorb like whatever you put in them. And I don't know. I'm noticing, the contrast with, Sheppy and Eden, because Wes is only one, but Wes gets in there, man. He's already trying to get in there.
Yeah.
It's so fun to watch. But Sheppy, he's my 3-year-old. He just wants to wrestle and he wants to do whatever I'm doing. Yeah. He just wants to jump on my back. He wants to come up, try to make me laugh. He wants me to put him in a headlock. He wants me to, just wrestle him around. And then he wants to come outside and he wants to do whatever I'm doing. So he wants to, so I let him, it bothers me. He wants to get I've enabled him to get in my toolbox, even though I tell him don't touch the tools, but I've done it by giving him tools, right? I'll give him a hammer, Katie'd be like, what are you doing? Give him a hammer, but it's like, no, I'm going to teach him, son, you only use the hammer on the wood. We go over to a piece of wood. I give him a nail. We hammer the nail in. This is at 2 years old. He's hammering the nail in. It's like he just wants to be a part of whatever I'm doing, but in the process, he's absorbing me, right? And I notice this with my boys, they want to do. And Wes wants to wrestle as well. So Sheppy's been wrestling Wes since Wes was like 6 months old. Like he'll just like run up on him, just like drop him in a headlock and just like roll him. And we're like, dude, that's a newborn. Like, Shep, like stop, dude. Like you got to settle down. Eden wants to, my girl, she just wants to connect. She wants to talk. She wants me to tell her a story. She wants to read a book. She wanted me to get in there and play a game with her or a storyline with her animals or with her toys. She wants me to get into that story with her and really be a part of what's going on. She wants to be hugged. She wants to be told she's beautiful. It's amazing. Like you say these little things and I can literally watch her face go from just like a blank stare, like you're the most beautiful girl in the whole world, and she just glows. Right, so. Like it's just like if I tell Sheppy that, he's just like, thanks, like where's my hammer? Like he did, like if I tell him, he's a funny guy or whatever, he likes that, but he's, my boy's still young, so I haven't crossed over, but my girl is just 5 years old, so I'm still in those young years, but I'm listening to what you guys are saying and I'm absorbing this because I want to speak those things, into my kids, and I want to make that time and I want to, make those moments. I want to cherish them, but they are definitely different. They're radically different, and they must be handled differently and cherished differently. And
It's amazing how all of our kids, like each one of them are different, but they adapt so much of you. And as you're telling that story, man, I can only think of like the funniest things I would do in the house with the brothers. I see my kids doing it, my girls and my son. And Aaron already know, like, I hear a little creak at night. I'll be waking up like, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Jesus. Like anybody, like I'll be dead sleeping. I hear something, I'll be Jesus, like rebuking, right?
Yeah.
My son Noah did it the other night.
Did he really?
He was just like, Dad, I was asleep and I had a bad dream, and I woke up, I said, I rebuke in the name of Jesus. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's right, son. You keep doing that. And then Charlotte, my oldest, she did it like 2 weeks ago. She's like, Dad, I had a bad dream. I said, I rebuke in the name of Jesus. And it's funny, it's like those little things they pick up on, man. And I think that's one of the cool thing about being a parent is like you see all your mannerisms, your sayings, and your personality filtrated through each one of your kids, girl, boy, whatever it is, like, dang, that was, and it's funny, Diana be like, yeah, that's your side of the family. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, good and bad.
Said, the kids don't know until you tell them. One thing I noticed too, like when there's times of correction, like they can, I don't know if they feel like they're like the world's against them, but I just try to like reinforce like look, I'm telling you this because I love you. Like if I didn't love you,
Yes.
I wouldn't spend the time to talk to you through this and try to correct this thing. Like there was some random kid on the street, like, and they did the same thing. Like it's not my responsibility. If they're trying to harm themselves or something, then yeah, I'll step in. But ultimately, you're my child, and like there's no one on the face of the planet that loves you more than me. Like that wants you to do well more than me. Like between me and your mom, no one wants better for you than us. And so the only reason I'm telling you these things is because I love you. And so like reinforcing that again, like.
Yes.
I'm not disciplining you because you're a bad kid or because you're wrong. Like I don't like you and I just want things my way. I'm disciplining you because I love you and I want the best for you. I want you to enjoy the best that God has for you. And so these are the reasons why I'm telling you this, because the scripture is clear. Like God disciplines those he loves. Like it's an evidence that you're a legitimate son or a legitimate child of the Father because he takes the time to discipline. And so I want to reinforce that in my kids, and especially in times of discipline, like, because I can only imagine in their minds, they're thinking, Dad's disciplining me, so I must be against him. It's like, no, I'm not against you.
Right.
I'm for you. I'm on your, like, I want you to be successful. I want you to do well, and I love you. And these are the reasons why we're correcting you.
Yeah, I've noticed with, I don't know, I mean, I hope this is right, but something that I think just from intuition, like trying to figure out, and a couple of things I've read, like, when we go through the discipline process, say we put them in timeout or something and they're crying, losing it, so sad they have to sit there and I've yelled at them, or they know that I'm upset about whatever they've done. They hit their sister or do whatever. And they sit down, or they've been, they talk back or whatever it is, and have to go and be disciplined after their timeout or whatever it is over, after they've gotten into trouble. Basically, I've been trying to do this, almost the same thing every single time, in which, like, when their sentence is over, and they've paid their 5 minutes of timeout or whatever for Eden, and I do like 2 minutes with Shep, but I'll say, stand up. They stand up and look me in the face, and then I say, why are you in timeout? What'd you do? And then I try to get them to confess, to remember. And I'll even say it in repetition before I sit them down. Like, you're sitting down, you're in timeout because you hit your brother. Okay, so now you're going to sit down. And then I have to stand up and repeat back to me. And then I try to say, I try to do two things after that. I say, we don't hit our brother. It's not okay. And I love you. And now go have fun. And then I give them, I try to grab them by the back of the head and give them a hug and a kiss. As I read somewhere that that kind of touch of a child, like for some reason, the same touch on the back of the neck and that hug or that embrace is sending signals into them. It's relieving all of their stress and relieving all their anxiety. And I don't know, you feel that as well. Probably when your wife hugs you and embraces you, or you feel that from another person, it relieves the stress. So it's again, I don't know if this is good or right, but it's just my intuition of what I've picked up on with my kids. I try to have them confess, and then tell them I love them, hug them, and then kiss them. And then I always just try to change my demeanor. I say, now go have fun. Go enjoy the day. Yeah. Because I don't want them to sit in this darkness or this heaviness. Dad's upset at me. I want them to get on enjoying life.
Yeah.
And it's just a moment of discipline. We all need it. And now get on with it, you know? I hate disciplining my kids, dude. Yeah. I do not want to do it. The first time I had to do any of this, I talked to the brothers about it. I'm like, I do not, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to hurt my kids' feelings. I don't want to crush their spirits, I don't want to go into any of that. But we have noticed. It's like Eden can be having a bad day. Discipline comes down. She's a different person right after. I mean, radically different. Her demeanor changes. And you're just like, whoa. When God said this, this is very important in their life. He disciplines us because he what?
Loves us.
He loves us. That's why. I was spanked a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
A lot, And I think I should have been spanked more, to be honest. I was a bad kid. I got away with a lot of stuff. Yeah. And, but I'm thankful there was someone standing in the gap to stop me. Dang, what if I never got disciplined? Yeah. What kind of human being would I be if no one ever told me no and tried to stop me in my tracks? My grandma, praise God for Oklahoma grandma, shotgun grandma. She had a belt that said Thompson on it.
Oof.
And I did some terrible things, and she did not hesitate to use that. 70-year-old grandma chasing these cute little boys around the house, trying to like stop them from tearing the place down. And wait till your father gets home. You know, my dad, he's a gentle giant, but he had to spank us a few times. And, you know, we knew. But again, you know, as Aaron had said earlier, he had made those love deposits like in our lives. So he wasn't able to be there a lot. We all knew. We all knew. Again, though my dad's a truck driver, he's gone all the time. We all knew that he loved us, that he loved God, and that he was proud of us.
Amazing.
No matter what. I mean, he never stopped telling us our whole lives, I'm proud of you. You've done way more than I could ever do. Yeah. He keeps saying that to us. And so I've never doubted that my whole life. Not once. And again, if you count the amount of time that my dad was there, because he's gone so much truck driving, you know, it would look like on paper, he would even say that, like, I wasn't a good dad, you know, like, and me, Jake Jess would be like, you're a great dad, you know, like, we love you, you know, you were there. He was emotionally there. I think when he was there, that was the only thing really he could do. Give us a hug, give us a kiss. Love you, babe. You're doing good. You know, I'm proud of you. That's all he could do.
Yeah.
And just keep pointing us to Jesus. And the Lord, I guess, filled in all the gaps, you know. But yeah, discipline is hard. It's not easy to figure out.
It's interesting how much you remember from your childhood. Like, there's a lot of days that happen. And like, my mom worked in a warehouse many nights, like wasn't able to take me to practice all the time. She wasn't able to be there. My dad passed when I was young. So like, I didn't have like the time that like we emphasize so much.
Yep.
But the time that I did get with mom, like I knew my All-Star game, she was there. She took time off work to be there.
Wow.
Like there were significant moments that when we got the time, they were effective. When Saturday morning cartoons, hanging out with my mom, like I remember these one-offs. Like I don't remember every single day that she wasn't there, but the times that stick in my memory were quality times. And so like I'm trying to find the balance. Like I'm not trying to take away, like, yeah, we want to have time with our children, but we want to have like quality time with our children. Like you can say, oh, I don't need to take that second job because I want to spend more time with my kids. And then you're just hanging out around them on your cell phone. And it's like, you might as well take the second job. So you can
alone together.
Yeah. Like you can have a healthy balance. Like as a man, we're called to provide. This is our burden. This is what we carry. And, you know, we should do the best we can to do that. But once we've hit that point of provision, like, if you have the opportunity to spend extra time with the kids, do it. But if you also have to go out and work a second job to take care of your kids and provide, then make the most of the time that you have with them. Like you're talking about with your dad, like with my mom, like it's different for every person. There's no like cookie cutter amount of hours that you need to spend with your kids, but you do need to make sure that they know that you love them. That's one thing, even me and my brother would talk about, like we were latchkey kids, but the one thing that we always knew was that our mom loves us. Like like we could not see her for a week because she's working overtime. She leaves early in the morning. We're going to sleep, all this stuff. But I knew without a shadow of a doubt that my mom loved me. Like, and there was kids that I would meet that I'm like, you don't, like your mom never told you that she loved you. Like it was just like foreign to me. But like to me, it was a very significant deposit. And I would say for us parents today, the best thing we can do is just make sure that your kids know that you love them. Because they will forgive a whole lot if they just know. And they'll forget a whole lot if they know that you love them.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's good.
You think they're going to get mad at you for having a second job, but when it comes to that Disneyland trip, that little vacation, they're the happiest kids on earth, man.
That's good.
And I was telling Charlotte the other day, because an opportunity might have arose for me to be a firefighter. And, I was kind of explaining to them like, hey, if I do become a firefighter, Daddy might be gone for a day. He might be gone for 2 days.
Right.
And I could see like the look on her face. She kind of get bummed out. I was like, what, you don't like that? She goes, no. But I said, I guarantee you on those days off, we gonna have fun.
Right.
We gonna go where you want to go.
Yep.
We gonna eat where you want to eat. Trust me, you're gonna have a great time. And she was like, oh, okay. So, and I know Aaron and I kind of covered that. I mean, we talked about that about a couple of days ago about, you know, just the state of the world with men are just not, they don't want to be men anymore. I mean, when duty calls, we step up. That's how it's always been from the beginning of the time. If you have to take a second job,
Sure.
you go do it to
Right.
provide for your family. You will compensate by spending time with your family on your days off or whatever time you get. It's all perspective, right? We got to be men and rise up. And, you know, I'm talking to the guys who are out there who just sitting on the couch or just looking at social media, looking at these influencers trying to make it big. Like, look, man, life is hard. Go get a helmet, right? So, like, if you don't got a job and you're 30, 40 years old and you're, you know, just still trying to just sit on the couch and play video games, man, get up, dude. If you gotta it's nothing wrong with going to go work at Jack in the Box, pulling an extra, pulling a double, man, because life isn't always going to be cookie cutter.
Sure.
Right? You know, we got to step up and be a man, especially in a day nowadays where society can't tell you what a man or a woman is.
Right.
Like, you know, like we got to step up and do our job. Be a father, be a husband, be a man, right?
I think like men too, like young men especially, like there's just so much opportunity, like to do
Yes,
well.
there
Like,
is.
you can be a superstar if you just show up and do the right thing. Like, man, I
Hard to find now.
it's like it's an expired species. Like if you just be a man, like you can be 10 years ahead of your peers if you just dig in right now. Like I wish someone would have told me all of these things when I was young and not be complacent and not blow the money that you're making today, but invest it, set it aside, prepare for your future, think long term. Don't just think about, oh, I'm going to have, you know, the expensive meal tonight, or I'm going to have the experience, or I'm going to go do that thing. Why don't you put some of that away so that you can prepare to get a ring for that girl that you're going to propose to, that you can have a down payment for a house, that you can start looking into stocks and investments so that you can set up your family in the future where you don't have to take a second job, but that you would be prepared now. Start investing in your education so you can procure a job that would be able to provide long term. Like, don't just think about the moment. Like, think about the future. Short-term thinking leads to long-term disaster. Just think about what is to come and try to make steps, take steps that you can implement today that would help you be successful as a man. Like, I don't want to, like, a lot of people are beating down a lot of young men because, like, you know, the sentiment is that they're lazy and they're not doing anything. I also would point the finger at the generation prior to the young men today. Like,
100%.
why weren't you? How many of them did you train up? Like, it's easy to point out that they're sitting on the couch and not doing anything.
Sure.
But what are you doing to help them? Maybe they don't know. Maybe they
Discipled.
don't. Like they didn't have a father to tell them to work hard and to be disciplined. And like, instead of pointing the finger at them, let's do what we can as the older men in the generation and try to encourage them to get out there and go do something. Let them know, like, the world needs you. Like, there is opportunity. There's things to conquer in this world. And what is your passion? What is your goals? And seek after those and do so in a way that you can honor the Lord.
Yeah, what does it mean to be a man? I think a man should be one, for you young guys listening, or you older guys who are still living like you're young. You haven't really stepped into manhood because, I don't know, you're choosing not to. A man, I think, prepares is a good word, prepares to be the pastor of his home.
Yeah.
Spiritually preparing. He prepares to be the provider of his home, and he prepares to be the protector of his home. And so I think we men are those who pastor, those who lead, those who provide, they take care of, and those who protect in our families, in our society. And we need more men to really step into this this category of manhood. It's really sad that no one is teaching the men to do this. And so what are we to do? Teach them.
Train them up.
We got to train them. We got to disciple them. We got to do it. Start speaking this into the young guys around you, taking time with them to disciple them and to show them what it looks like, and display it in your own family, and then display it to your boys, and then display it to your girls, because then they will know how to find a real man. They'll be able to find a man who loves God and loves his family, loves his society, and is willing to take care. But sadly, it is a generation that has chosen not to do this. That's caused a lot of these problems. And it's just getting worse and worse with all of the interference of social media in our society, all that's going on. So, but we're thankful for the brothers. We've had some great guys around us. We've had great men around us. And we hope this table talk encourages all the brothers and sisters who are listening. And we spent a good 2 hours together, guys. We'll come back again, huh?
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Do it.
Thank you guys for coming on. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Thankful
Adios,
for it.
love you too, brother.
Thanks for your investment in my life and
for having us.
in each other. You're welcome. Let's do it again.
All right.
Let's go get lunch.
All right.
Do it.